Hello and welcome to Dearly Beloved, a show where we talk about the paranormal
The macabre.
and everything in between.
Everything with a spooky twist. Tonight, we're going to be talking about ghosts. Do you think they're real? Have you seen one before? What are your thoughts?
Talk about black widows, haunted houses,
Yes.
and that thing behind Calavera.
A little bit about us. You take it, MK. Who are you?
A young 30-something with
Hmm.
interests in the dark, interest in the supernatural, and interest in food. I love a good meatball.
And I am Miss Calavera. I love the darkness. I love food as well. I love talking about everything in between. Politics, psychology, which is my background, human experiments, pop culture, spooky movies, and scary stories, and whatever is trending today.
My take on ghosts in the spirit realm. It's very real. In my opinion, I do believe that the world of the living and the world of the dead, they blend.
I believe similarly. I think they do exist. But the bigger question is, what does that mean? If ghosts are real, what does that imply for us when we die? Do you believe in everything else related to ghosts? Poltergeists, hauntings, demons? I personally believe that ghosts signify that there is a spiritual world that lays on top of the earthly, and that there is an afterlife upon which certain people, after they die, reside. They provide clues for what it means to be a ghost, why ghosts do occur, and what else is out there. Poltergeists, demons, hauntings, and then everything in between. Consistently, you hear stories about ghosts when it becomes around incidents of tragedy. So, what happened? And why does it take that much to cause it?
They are manifestations of the spirit realm. But there are different types of spiritual beings, and there are different kind of remnants that roam this earth. Do you ever think about death? Do you ever wonder what will happen? Sometimes I think to myself, will it hurt? Will I just go black and darkness surround me? Will I come back? And if I do, what will I experience?
I think about that moment when it's about to go. People have stories about almost passing and seeing that moment when they are about to go to the other world. And they believe that there is an afterlife. But for others, that afterlife is not the same. Some say it's a happy moment. Some say it's a dark one. Some say it's a weird one. Well, one thing is for sure. There are accounts of the afterlife. And if you can believe in ghosts, you can argue that there is one.
I have a ghost story to tell you. One that's been on my mind for quite some time. In Northern California, there is a small town called Niles Canyon, just off of Fremont, a small city in the Bay Area. I was just a child then, and it was great to roam around and learn the history of where I grew up. Interestingly enough, Charlie Chaplin lived in that town during his later golden years. It's said to believe that in small towns are where most of the biggest hauntings happen. And in Niles Canyon, the biggest haunting happened to me of all. I lived in a small suburb, a cul-de-sac, and down the street there was a house, 14 Tulane. And I remember walking by that house so I can get to school. It was vacant for many years, and I remember that there was a moment where it was blanketed in dark tarps and construction gates started to go around. It seemed like maybe someone had bought the house. They were going to start construction soon. Those black tarps are meant to hold in certain things like gases that help kill bugs, termites, certain things like that. And I believe that that's what they were trying to do so they can try and go in and renovate later on without having to completely bulldoze down the lot and salvage whatever building skeleton that there was left. A couple months go by and nothing really changed. And you hear stories from other kids in the neighborhood who've dared each other to go in and out of this, house. Several months go by, and you start to hear rumors from fellow kids in the neighborhood that say the house is haunted. Then you have friends that are trying to dare each other, go inside and spend 10, 15 minutes inside this house, this haunted house. Weird stories come up. Well, I had a friend, and there was a group of us, and I remember we were walking back home from school, and the conversation came up about this house at the corner of the neighborhood at the cul-de-sac. And a friend dared us to go inside. Now, there was 3 of us boys that went in, and the gate was open, so you were able to walk in, but there was no way to get past the tarps. It looked like they were sealed off with zip ties. A friend of ours had found like an opening on the upper left side of the house that you can kind of climb into, and we decided to climb inside. And this was not just a fall day. There was nothing particularly creepy about the day. It was a really warm, sunny day in September. But once you got inside these tarps, pitch black, darkness, it takes a moment for your eyes to adjust. I remember walking onto the porch and just feeling sick to my stomach. Now, I didn't know if it was any residual chemicals in the air or if it was the fear that was starting to build up inside of me. We walked inside, and there was no door in the door frame. A couple of floorboards were already ripped up in the hallway near the foyer by the staircase. And I remember walking to the right hand side. It looked like a small dining room, and it led to the back of the kitchen. I don't really remember much of what I saw, but I do know what we heard. It was like a laugh, like a giggle. It was so clear, like it was in your ear, that one of my friends got so scared, decided to run out. It caused so much noise and commotion. All I remember leaving that building was, maybe I'm going to die. I was very young. I was like maybe 11, 12 years old. But you think those things when you're in high alert, high fear. I don't think that giggle was any of my friends. I don't think that there was anyone else in that house. And the funny thing is, I had moved maybe 2, 3 years later. That house was still not completed. The house was still the same way that it was, tarped and covered on the corner, creepy. And to this day, I don't know if the house is still standing, but I'll never forget. That is one of the scariest moments of my young life. That's what first got me intrigued into ghost stories and supernatural, because I still to this day don't know what was in that house, who giggled or made that noise that scared us that day. Did they want us out of that house for peace? Did they want to scare us for entertainment? No one knows.
You don't know about any history of deaths in that location?
No.
No. Are you sure it wasn't your giggle inside your head? Interesting story, MK. I think I disassociated for 10 minutes. But anyways, my ghost story was 84 years ago. I know I look great. But I was living with my boyfriend at the time. Another deadbeat. Couldn't keep a job. I think he was on his fifth one this time. So we were home in this new apartment. I was away for college the first time. What we had found out about this apartment is that it had previously burned down. We didn't think anything of it. Fires happen. One night, though, while laying in bed, both of us, under the covers, of course, were impoverished. Well, I was the college student. He couldn't get into college. We had these plastic drawers, the cheap ones you get from Walmart and Target. Not judging. We all are on a budget. I had distinctly remember leaving it open. And in the middle of the night, I heard it. Shh. Someone had closed the plastic drawers shut, and they were right across from our bed. And as we lay under the covers, we were both terrified. I said,
Mm.
"You go look." He said, "No, you go look." And neither of us wanted to see what it was. So we laid there, scared, all night. But that wasn't the only thing that happened in that apartment. In the middle of the night, we'd hear tapping on the keyboards. Tap, 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 tap. As if someone was typing in the living room. We just dismissed it as maybe a rat or a mouse crawling against the keyboards, but we
Mm.
don't know. It could have
Are you
been an
sure the
actual
spirit wasn't
person.
looking up porn?
You know what? That could explain why my computer did break down. Too many viruses.
Too many ghostly
Isn't that such a
viruses.
burden? Ghost viruses. Darn those ghost viruses. Speaking of deadbeat exes,
Mm,
have you ever thought about an ex and becoming a Black Widow because of them?
a Black Widow.
Hmm. If you don't know, a Black Widow is historically a woman who kills her husbands. And we all know some iconic figures who've portrayed that. Miss Debbie from Addams Family Values is probably one of my favorite portrayed on television. But in real life, there are historical examples of Black widows. And there are many, some of them less known, who have extensive history. So I ask you, have you ever thought about an ex and become a Black widow? Is there any
Mm.
Black widows that you know of that are your favorite in history?
I know of a few. Some Black Widow, real live Black Widows. Women who kill. Eileen Muernos, Jodi Arias. That's just a few that come to mind. Calavera, do you know of a Black Widow?
I know some exes that I wouldn't mind being a Black widow for, but I
Mm.
don't want to go to jail.
Black Widows do certain things like poison the jello, lace the tea with
Poison the
rat
drink.
poison, put in eye
Poison,
drops
yes,
in the
is one
spaghetti.
method. Eye drops. There are many methods. I think in the past, the most go to has been poison. And recently, some of the ones that you have mentioned have used more unique methods. Disclaimer: don't be a Black widow. Don't kill your ex. Don't sue this channel.
Exactly.
But there are actual Black widows that exist in history. And the most notable one is the one responsible for a poison called Aqua Tofana. Now, this occurred in the 1600s. There was a ring of people who created this poison, and there was a leader who she created this poison. I think her daughter was helping her as well. This poison was so efficient that wives would seek them out and pay them.
That's so interesting.
Her poison was so effective that it killed so many husbands. So, just to clarify, these were women who were unhappy in their marriage and wanted their husbands gone. And this is the 1600s. Getting out of a marriage as a woman was very difficult. So they would seek out these people that made poison. And it went into the hundreds of amount of men who passed away. And the only reason that she got caught was because one wife bought this poison, gave it to her husband, and when it started to have its effect, she got scared and backed out. She tried to seek help. She was panicking. She confessed what she did, and she implicated the wife and the mother and the daughter and the whole ring of people who were responsible for this powerful poison. And that was the only reason they got caught. It was because of a snitch. But anyways, one of the notorious killing moments. Technically a Black Widow, more like she was aiding Black Widows to get rid of their husbands with this poison. Unfortunately, they died, but their legends live on. But there are more recent accounts, and my fellow co host, MK, will be telling us about some of the most recent characters classified or considered a Black Widow.
We have Black Widows, women who kill, such as
Give him a moment, he's looking at Wikipedia. Like unpleasant dreams.
we can. This has been Dearly Beloved. As always, I'm MK,
I miss Calavera.
and we'll see you soon.
Unpleasant dreams.